At Bad Marketing, being bold and disruptive is our lifeblood. And in this video, I'm going to show you how you can turn your company into a bold and disruptive company that gets the attention of your customers by building a brand. When it comes to bold brands, few can be compared to Liquid Death. And if you want to build a brand that's bold and disruptive, then there are 4 questions that you have to ask. I'm not only going to tell you what those questions are, but I'm also going to show you the strategies brands like Liquid Death use to have explosive growth and long-term success. Question number 1, determine your vibe. While companies are simply legal entity structures and paperwork that you file, brands have personality. And these personalities are shaped by core values, mission statements, and ultimately what your marketing says to the public. If you want to build a brand, it ultimately comes down to 2 things: the identity that your marketing positions your company as, and the frequency at which your market hears that identity. In today's modern world, people don't just want to follow a brand because of the name or the logo, they want to connect with the business itself. This is why you see brands like Feastables.
Go to Feastables.com right now if you want some nuts in your mouth.
And Prime Energy drinks,
the fastest growing sports drink in history,
and Liquid Death have explosive growth.
Every year, water is responsible for thousands and thousands of deaths.
They've discovered the ability to connect with an audience, build its affinity, and then ultimately provide products and services for the customers to purchase. Let's look at Liquid Death as the example here, where founder Mike Cesario, who's a graphic designer for an agency, started to discover his target market after going to a Vans Warped Tour and noticing that the people who were attending the event were drinking water out of Monster energy cans to stay hydrated. And thus this started the concept of Liquid Death, a water brand for this fringe type culture. And when it launched, most people thought that this was a total gimmick and wouldn't actually last, and even was compared to bad fashion trends of the 90s or early 2000s. However, instead of listening to this advice, Mike went all in on his branding, saying murder your thirst.
Liquid Death Mountain Water will murder your thirst.
And death to plastic. If you're trying to create a product, it's important for you to determine your vibe, meaning what kind of language and how do you want to come off to the marketplace? And then you've got to go all in. The goal isn't to be a product for everyone. The goal is to be a product for a specific market that you want to attract. And if you want to attract that market, you've got to go all in. You can't just say some things that resonate, but you've got to almost go extreme if you really want to be captivating, bold, and disruptive. Question number 2, what are your conflicts and resolutions? When it comes to building a great brand, I want you to think of it as a story. And in all great stories, there's a protagonist and an antagonist. Let's take the hero's journey as an example. Inside of this story, your customer is the hero, the protagonist. And then there's always an antagonist, the thing that is coming to fight against them or their goals. In the hero's journey though, there's always a mentor that comes along the way and helps the protagonist have the desired outcome and defeat the enemy. See, in this situation, your brand is the mentor. In the story of building a great brand, you've got to discover how your brand becomes the mentor to your hero, the customers, to satisfy their desires and what they want to do. So to do this and discover how you become a mentor, you need to ask yourself, what does my business do? How do we help the hero, your customer, achieve their goals? How do we exist? Why do we exist? What are we standing on as a mission and as a vision for our brand to ultimately help our heroes? Looking back at the Liquid Death example, they inserted themselves as the mentor by providing a healthy alternative to energy drinks or alcohol. They wanted to allow their heroes, their customers, to have a healthier option that people could use and it would fit in if they were at a house party or a concert, where they could have this tall boy can that kind of looked similar to a beer can. However, it was water and a healthy alternative for people to enjoy while still attending the same events but not feeling out of place. But they also help their heroes by being the fighting force against plastic. Check out one of these incredible ad campaigns that Liquid Death did to promote their product.
Ah, the underworld.
Where the souls of the damned are sentenced to an eternity of unrelenting torment.
Some call it hell. I call it home. And single-use plastic bottles are making a real mess of it.
The billions of plastic bottles polluting the earth are now overflowing down here into the underworld, where they're just ruining our delicate ecosystem.
An island of plastic trash now floats in our demon ocean, choking our 3-headed demon fish and our demon turtles.
It's polluting our 2,000-year-old torture pits, ruining the fun for everyone.
So join us and Liquid Death in our mission to bring death to plastic bottles. Help keep the underworld beautiful.
They come alongside and not just help them in one area, but they've now helped in two and also having an impact to the greater world. They even take this a step further by not just having their products inside of a metal or aluminum can, but also 10% of their profits go to help fight plastic pollution around the world. This not only allows their heroes to have a healthier and better option when drinking out and having fun, but this also allows their customers to truly be the hero and fight plastic pollution at the same time of enjoying their product. Question number 3, what is your value proposition? Ultimately, if you want to build a great brand, you can't just have cool marketing. You've got to have a unique value proposition that you're providing to the market. And when you know that value proposition, it has to be woven into your brand story. A unique value proposition could be things like, why did the founders create the company? What mission are they trying to achieve? Is there a problem in the world that this company exists to fight? Are there very unique value and benefits that this product offers versus others? When you create a good brand story that wraps in the value proposition, you give your market a hero to champion, someone to root for. Ultimately, you want this to be your brand, because while they're the heroes and you're the mentor to them, in turn, you'll start to become a hero to them. If we look back to Liquid Death, they don't just fight plastic pollution around the world. Yes, they're also a healthier alternative when you're out partying with friends or at a concert, but they also focused on the value proposition of the product itself. They made sure that the water actually tasted good. Even more so, due to their aluminum cans, the water actually tasted colder, which psychologically even makes the water taste better to us. They've done a great job at not just focusing on the impact or what the product is, but they realize that we can't just be water, we actually have to taste better than the other competitors. This, along with great branding, has turned Liquid Death into an absolute monster. Figuratively speaking, of course. Question number 4, how do I maintain consistency? This is a big one and honestly where most brands fail. If you want to build any brand that people recognize and continue to recognize, you've got to be consistent. Like the formula we talked about earlier in this video, when it comes to building a brand, you have to have A, the identity that your brand represents, but B, the consistency that people hear it. This is how you start to build brand in people's minds. To do this, your brand needs to maintain voice, character, mission, and promise. If you think about any of the great brands in the world, what you'll notice about them is that they've always been consistent. And that's what builds the brand of that company in your mind, is something that you can count on when you think about them. Just like with your friends probably have their own brand. Each of them have their own unique personalities and things that you will correlate or associate to them as a specific person because their personalities have been consistent. Example, think of what would happen if Amazon all of a sudden didn't start delivering things in a fast manner. If all of a sudden every time you ordered something from Amazon took 2 or 3 weeks to be delivered, the entire brand of Amazon would go down in flames because one of their core key brand items is their ability to have cheap and fast shipping. Liquid Death has done a great job at maintaining consistent brand character, voice, and mission. This is what has allowed Liquid Death to launch in 2017 and now have a $1.4 billion evaluation. Yes, they just sell water, but they've been selling a brand, and that's what's actually caused their growth. Now that we've covered those 4 main points and questions, let me give you 3 more questions that you have to answer when you're trying to build a successful brand. 1, if my customer is the hero, then who are we throwing rocks at? Who is the antagonist? You've got to stand for something. So find out what is the antagonist, what are you helping your hero ultimately fight and conquer, and then you become the mentor as a brand. Next, how does your market feel seen and understood? This comes down to the words and the messaging and positioning you use within your marketing while trying to communicate to the market. Everyone wants to feel seen. Your brand has to make the market feel like you understand them better than all of your competitors. And finally, is our experience dependable? Ultimately, if you want to be memorable and memorable in a good way, then your market has to have some kind of dependability when it comes to them ordering your service or product. They've got to know what's expected. Brands around the world have conquered, like Chick-fil-A and Apple, because they've maintained the dependability and consistency that their market can expect. The moment you start losing dependability or consistency with your customer base is the moment your customers will start looking somewhere else and your brand goes down the toilet. So now you know how to create a brand that stands out and connects, but here's what's important. this takes time. You won't just wake up one day and have a successful brand. You can't just target a specific market and know the identity without consistency and frequency. This is why the companies that understand this correctly and do this correctly are known and stick out like a sore thumb. If it was easy, then every company would have a great brand, but it's not. You've got to be consistent, you've got to keep iterating, and ultimately listen to your marketplace. And once you know what they want, you've got to do it consistently and be dependable. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Like and follow if you want more content just like this.